From the land of 10,000 lakes and just as many heartaches, welcome to the 301 Show. We're here to celebrate, commiserate, and maybe, just maybe, see a Minnesota team win it all. Whether you're dreaming of a Vikings Super Bowl, reliving the glory days of the Twins, or still recovering from the Timberwolves roller coaster, we've got you covered. This is the 301 Show, where the North remembers and the passion never fades.
All right, welcome into episode 39 of the 301 Show. We've got a great episode on tap here today. The Vikings fall in Dublin, and we look ahead to their second game over in Europe. The Vikings aren't the only team falling in important games, as the Lynx lose a couple of playoff games here. The Wild, we've got their season award predictions. We did this last year too. I believe in the first episode of this show, we did season award predictions. And then there is massive breaking news out of the target field and the Twins. So we'll get into all of that and more here on the 301 Show. All right, moving on to the Wolves Den now. We will get into Ants Media Day and the Lynx here. We will start with the Lynx. They, again, I really thought this team was going to win the WNBA championship, and they did not. Obviously, they lost in the semifinals in the second round. They won the first game, and then they lost game 2 in overtime, which they were up by 20 points halfway through the third quarter. They were up 59-39, and then they lost the game 89-83 in overtime. They lost game 3 84-76, which the Mercury just kind of controlled that game for most of the game. Then game 4 in the third quarter, they were up 68-55 in the third quarter, and at that point, according to ESPN's odds tracker, they had a 95.6% chance to win the game. They ended up losing that game 86-81. So they are officially eliminated from the playoffs after having a fantastic regular season, and they just could not get it done. And they are, officially eliminated from the playoffs. We'll see what moves they can make this offseason to improve them and get over that playoff hump into winning an actual championship. So, if we look at the Timberwolves here, there's a couple of things I want to get into. First and foremost, again, the Timberwolves announced that this year the black tree jerseys are back. The KG era jerseys are back as their throwback alternates. So that is, again, great to see. Taylor Heisey and Joe Mauer were two of the non-basketball players, non-Timberwolves players that helped show this jersey off. They had Nafisa Collier help out too with the Lynx. But yeah, this is a great campaign for them to roll out these jerseys, and I do think that this is helping a lot with them transitioning into this new era of Timberwolves. Ironically, transitioning into a new era of Timberwolves basketball with throwback jerseys. But the A-Rod and Laurie era, like they're it seems like they're listening to the fans more, because fans have wanted these jerseys to come back for a long time now, and they want Kevin Garnett to come back and have his jersey number retired. which the two jersey numbers retired for the Timberwolves at this point. The two banners hanging in the rafters for them are two players that have passed away, or two members of this Timberwolves family that have passed away, and that was Flip Saunders, and I am now forgetting the other one. I do apologize for that, but it's two people that have passed away from the franchise, and not because their jerseys actually need to be retired. So they the Kevin Garnett deserves to have his jersey retired by the Timberwolves, absolutely. But he had some beef with Glenn Taylor, so I do think A-Rod and Laurie are working on it, and I do think at some point they will get Kevin Garnett back in the good graces of the they will get the Timberwolves back in the good graces of Kevin Garnett. And so I do think Kevin Garnett likes the Timberwolves. He just didn't like Glenn Taylor. So and the reports I saw were Ant was the last couple of years has been texting with and calling with Kevin Garnett, and Kevin Garnett's been helping him too, and which has been fantastic to see. And they I just don't think he wanted to be back with the Timberwolves publicly while Glenn Taylor was the owner. So I do think that will change. My guess is that will change this season. If not this season, next season. Like I really hope it is this season at some point. What would be great is if he came back the first game that they wore the black tree jerseys. I think that would be fantastic to see, especially for fans to see. So I do think that would be almost too perfect to happen. So I do think that would be perfect, and I do think he will be back at some point this season. But the NBA had their media day a few days ago. So Anthony Edwards had a couple quotes here that I wanted to talk about. He has been studying Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant this offseason, which, again, if you're going to study two players in NBA history, those are two of the best players to study in the NBA, especially with Anthony Edwards' playing style and his position. And I think those might be the two best players to study in NBA history if you are Anthony Edwards. But he had a couple of quotes here that give me a ton of hope for this season and a ton of hope for his game going forward here. So his quotes were, he helped, this is talking about Michael Jordan here and all three of these. So he helped me with getting to my spots, pulling up and shooting over the defender. And the second quote is, I think the best tip he gave me is that most people lean on people in the post with their butt. Didn't say butt. I have to censor that because I'm trying to keep this family friendly. But and he does it. So most people lean on other people with their butt, and he does it with the top part of his back. So I think I learned that from him. And then the third quote is, I think winning starts with being together, and it starts with in the summertime. We've all got to be together. We've got to be a team. We can't wait until the All-Star break to try and become a team. We got to do it now. So I think, again, all three of those things are great. First quote about the getting to my spots, pulling up and shooting over the defender. I think he, like the last couple years, has needed he's great at the three, and he's great at driving to the net and getting those dunks that, that make the ESPN top 10, SportsCenter top 10 the next day. He's great at that. But it's those mid-range shots where he does have to pull up that he has struggled with the last couple years. And I think if he's watching Michael Jordan on mid-range shots, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And if he's better at that, he's already like a top 10 player in the NBA, top maybe arguably top 5 to 10 player in the NBA. And if he can get better at that, he might make an argument to be like a top 3 player in the NBA this season. But that would be fantastic if he improved on that. The second quote about him leaning back with the top of his back, which again is the most Michael Jordan thing ever. Like that is one of his, signature moves, and leaning back, basically boxing out and getting defenders off of you with the top of your back instead of your butt. Like you can, it feels like you're more, can spin and shoot easier, but or pass it easier. But yeah, I think that's a great too. And the winning quote, the we've got to be together. I do think this is going to help this team this year, and I do think that because of the trade, the Cat trade right before the season last year, I do think that they didn't have the team chemistry right away, and they. If Anthony Edwards is saying until the All-Star break, it didn't seem like they had chemistry up until that point last season. So I think if they can have chemistry until the entire season with Dante DiVincenzo, if they can have chemistry with Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle and the rest of the team already from the rip, I think that's fantastic. That's not a piece of adversity that they have to get over in the first couple months of the season. That's already baked in to the pie, and they can just go from there. So, I think that's great. We will move on to predictions. Not a good set of predictions here this week. Had a ton come off the board, ton of Lynx predictions come off the board. I said the Lynx would win the WNBA championship. They did not. Nafisa Collier will put up 35-plus points this season. She did once, but it was the All-Star game, so I'm not counting that. So the Lynx and Wolves will make it to the next finals in their league. Lynx obviously did not. So the Lynx will finish with the number 1 in fewest points against in 2025. They finished number 2. I said Nafisa Collier will win the WNBA regular season MVP and finals MVP. She will not win either one of those two. Last week, I said the Lynx will win Game 2, the Lynx will win Game 3, and the Lynx will win finals Game 1. They won none of those games, or at least they didn't win Game 2 or Game 3, and they can't win finals Game 1. So moving on to the 3 predictions I'm putting on the board here. First one is that the Wolves will win their first title before the Lynx win their 5th. Lynx are at 4 right now. I think the Wolves have a chance to win it this year. Then second prediction is that the Ant wins a major season / postseason award in 2026, so the 25-26 season. And then Naz Reid starts at least 25 games this season. All right, moving on to the Nordic Report here. The Vikings lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin, 24-21. Their record is 2-2 on the year. They're still 1-0 in the division with the win over the Chicago Bears from Week 1. They are tied for 8th in the NFC. They are tied for 3rd in the NFC North with the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions both ahead of them. Their yards per game is 294 yards per game, which is 23rd on offense. Points for per game is tied for 10th at 25.5. On third down, they are 15 of 49. That is 30.6%. That is 30th. We'll get into a third down up here from this last game in just a second here. On fourth down, they're 4 of 6 for 66.7%. That is tied for 10th. On defense, they are giving up 281.8 yards per game. That is 7th fewest in the NFL. Points against per game is 20.0. That is ninth fewest in the NFL. On third down, they are stopping opponents 32 of 48 times. That is 66.7%. That is tied for sixth. Fourth down, they're 2 for 2, 100%. That is obviously tied for best in the NFL. The special teams, Will Reichert is still 8 for 8. That is still tied for first on field goals. The 62-yarder against Cincinnati is still the longest, and he is 8 for 8 on PATs. In this game against the Steelers, what an awful game. That was like, it was 24-21, but that did not feel like a 24-21 game. They were getting cooked. They did not look like they were that good of a team. But 2 or 3 pieces of silver lining. There's three pretty good things that happened here in this game. First of all, Justin Jefferson, 10 receptions, 126 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but still, 10 receptions for 126 yards is still a very, very good game. Jordan Addison, 4 receptions for 114 yards. So the wide receivers 1 and 2, I think, had a pretty good game. Again, neither one of them found the scoreboard or found the end zone. But again, especially for Jordan Addison, his first game back, getting him those 4 receptions for 114 yards, I think will set him up for the future. It's a good start for him. Will Reichert, again, the third and final silver lining. He was 2 for 2 on field goals, and he was 1 for 1 on extra points. I think those are the 3 best players this game. And we'll get into the bad here. Vikings fumbled twice. Carson Wentz threw 2 interceptions. He was 30 of 46 for 350 yards, which that by itself isn't that bad. That's actually pretty good. He had 2 touchdowns too. Again, if that was the end of his stat line, that would be a pretty good day. If that's all you looked at, that's a pretty good day. But he had 2 interceptions. He took 6 sacks, and his QBR was 41.2. So he did not, again, QBR, I believe, is the one that's out of the scale of 100, and 50 is average. So he just did not have that good of a day today, or not today, on Sunday. Then Donovan Jackson didn't play in this game. He had that surgery on his hand. He's going to be out for, I believe, 4 weeks. I think they put him on the 4-game IR list, or the 4-week IR list. So he will be out for a month. And then Brian O'Neill has a knee injury, and Ryan Kelly left the game with a concussion, and with those two, which Brian O'Neill and Brian O'Neill's knee ended up being a sprained MCL. They don't know yet if he's going to miss time or not, but he very well could miss time, and Ryan Kelly may never play football again. This is his 2nd concussion of the season. This is his 5th concussion of his NFL career. Maybe not NFL career, but his 5th concussion playing football. He may never play football again. Again, with concussions that close back to back, and it being your 5th known concussion, too, you may never play football again at this point. And so, I also really don't think that the offensive line that they were wanted there, the Christian Darrisaw, Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and Brian O'Neill, I don't think that's playing. They're all playing a snap together this season. That could be a prediction I put. I don't think I have that as a prediction on this one, but that very well could be a prediction that comes true. And I don't think it's that hot of a take either. Maybe it is, but I don't think that they are going to play a snap together. Another one that was kind of brutal is Pittsburgh rushed for 131 yards. And again, the run defense isn't that great, or it's on paper it is that great, but it's not that great in practice so far. And I don't know what the Vikings need to do about it, but they have to do something about it. But the It makes sense that they gave up that many rushing yards against the Atlanta Falcons. Bijan Robinson might be a top 3, I think he's top 5 for sure running back in the NFL right now. I think you could make the argument that he's top 3. And after the season that Saquon had last year, and he's still having a pretty good season this year, I don't think Bijan's the number 1 running back right now. Because when I say number 1 running back right now, when I say right now, it means that I'm taking this season into account most heavily, but I'm also taking into account past seasons too. And if I say this season, it's maybe not, it might not be, Saquon this season, but right now, because he hasn't, completely fallen off, Saquon still is, in my mind, the best running back right now. But Bijan is still up there. And so it makes sense that they gave up a bunch of rushing yards to the Atlanta Falcons. And they were down by a lot, and the Falcons were just trying to chew clock. And so they had more incentive to run the ball. They were going to call more run plays than they were pass plays. So that made sense to me. But this doesn't. Like the Steelers aren't that great in the run game, but they were against the Vikings. And the other thing too is the offensive line looks like they're terrible, and they maybe are, but they have backups playing. The run game, the run defense doesn't have backups playing. It's still Jonathan Hargrave, Hargrave and Allen, Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. I'm mashed up their names. Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, and Ivan Pace too, who's a lot better statistically the last few seasons in the run game than he is in the pass game, and he is still not, like, they're still giving up all these yards, and I don't know what the solution is there. I don't. Brian Flores is going to have to figure something out here to improve that run game. But then at the end of the game, that was a horrible final drive of the game. You take the delay a game penalty, they spike it on 3rd down at the end, and then they take a delay a game penalty, and they're like, well, it's because we didn't have the play clock. We couldn't see the play clock at that end of the field, the end of the field that we were going to. And I'm like, why not? Why couldn't, like yes, it was broken, but why couldn't you see it? You should have, first of all, you knew about that before the game started. That play clock wasn't on the entire game. So you should have figured something out there. Otherwise, you should have just waited to fix it and had like the stadium staff fix the play clock or figure something else out if it's a replacement play clock. So I don't buy the excuse of, oh, we couldn't see the play clock, and again, that makes sense that you couldn't see it, but I'm not convinced that is the reason why you lost this game. It's not. And Carson Wentz trying to run for his life is not a reason that, I don't think there, in any loss, I don't think there is one singular reason why you lose a game. I think there's many reasons why you lose a game. In the 301 banter episode that I was talking to Mimi Schrader, we were talking about how everyone's like, oh, you missed the last shot of the game, that's why you lost. And it's like, well, you missed a shot in the first quarter too. In basketball, you missed a shot in the first quarter. That's why you lost. You can point at any single play and say that is why you lost. But in actuality, it's all those little things that add up to be why you lost. And so I think there is a bunch of things: the run defense, the injuries on the offensive line, the play clock. Sure, that can be a reason. I think it is a very, very small reason, but it can be a reason that you lost the game. But I don't think that you need to have backup plans in place if you are the Vikings and you are looking at the side with no play clock. You got to figure something out that will help you help your offense. And this is the coaching staff too. The coaching staff needs to figure that out. And the team needs to figure that out. I don't believe that, 30 seconds before kickoff, they were like, oh, the play clock's out. So my guess is you had time to figure it out beforehand and work around it. So, yeah, super frustrating game to watch, super frustrating game to get up early and watch on a Sunday morning. But if we look ahead here, they do play the Cleveland Browns again, another 8:30 game Central Standard Time in London. They have an 11-5 record all time against the Browns. But the Browns did win their last matchup against each other 14-7 back in 2021. But yeah, the Browns game coming up here. Again, I am worried about, and you'll see this in the predictions, I am worried about the offensive line, and that now they're having to go up against Myles Garrett on that defensive line. So hopefully Brian O'Neill's back and able to help out. One second. But yeah, Myles Garrett is, again, he's the reason why they beat the Packers, I think. He's the single biggest reason they beat the Packers. But we will move on to predictions here. Had 4 predictions come off the board. First one is that the Vikings win both games in Europe. They did not. Obviously lost against the Steelers. So the Vikings will beat the Steelers. They did not. And then Justin Jefferson scores at least 1 touchdown in Dublin. He did not. And then the Steelers score 15 or less points against the Vikings, and they scored more. So, yep, we got 3 more coming on the board here. Said the Vikings beat the Browns. Myles Garrett records at least 1.5 sacks, and the combined score of the game is less than 39.5 points. I'm thinking that this is going to be a very low scoring game, and more of a defensive battle. I think the Vikings, the Browns defense is actually pretty good, especially with Myles Garrett, especially if that Vikings O-line is suffering. And then if the Browns, I don't think, just have a very good offense. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game here against the Browns. All right, moving on to target field talkers. Not going to get into too much detail about the end of the season. The Twins record, they do get final record of 70-92. The finished 4th in the AL Central, 11th in the AL wildcard race, so 14th in the American League. There were only the Chicago White Sox who were worse than them in the American League. They ended up winning 2 out of the 3 against the Texas Rangers, and then they lost 2 out of the 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies. But the 2 things I do want to talk about for Target Field Talkers this week, the big news is that Rocco Baldelli got fired. He spent 7 seasons as the Twins manager. He had a record of .527 and .505. In 2025, again, they were 70-92. They were 47-49 in the first half, so only 2 games below .500. And that was after that horrid start where I think they started like 0-4 and then like 2-10 or something like that to start the year. In the second half, they were 23-43, so 20 games below .500 in the second half. At home, they were 38-43 at home. They were 32-49 on the road. Rocco Baldelli also won the 2019 AL Manager of the Year award. That was the Bomba Squad season. But this seems more like a scapegoat to me. This doesn't seem like it's like actually going to do much. I do think this plays into the prediction I have on the board right now, and the Trevor Plouffe idea that Torrey Hunter might be the next manager. Obviously, that was the first move that needed to happen, was for the manager spot to free up, and Rocco getting fired frees it up. But I just don't think that this is a that much of a like an actual substantial change in the Twins organization right now. Like, I don't think that Rocco was the reason for this collapse, and I don't think Rocco was like, I still think it's the ownership. I still think it's the ownership, which again we have gone into a ton here, and we'll get into a little bit more. Which actually we will do that right now. The Star Tribune was reporting why the Pohlads pulled the team off the market. Tom Pohlad said that there were two reasons. One reason was the minority investors came along, and that is why they didn't sell. Excuse me, sorry. But the minority investors were why they didn't sell, and they never would have even put the team on the market if the minority investors were on the table to begin with. So they seem like they just wanted a way to get rid of the what is now being reported as $500 million in debt. It's being reported as more now than what was initially reported. So the $500 million worth of debt is why they wanted to sell it, because they wanted some sort of money back, and the $500 million too is about a third of what the team is worth. Like if you look at just the straight net worth of the franchise, they are it's roughly a third of the overall price of this team, and they are so they're not selling. But I think they are more of the issue than Rocco is, and I think that and like everybody can see that at this point, and I don't think it's I do think it is an obvious thing here. So again, you can go back to other episodes too from my actual thoughts. I do think that they should sell the team. I do think that I don't think the Twins are gonna win games if they continue to own the team. They're not going to actually have sustained success. So I don't want this to continue, basically. But yeah, so moving on here to the predictions. We'll move on. And so just a fair warning, because this end of the season for the Twins, I had a lot of season long ones come off the board. So there are a lot of predictions here, and it is super small writing. I do apologize for that. I also apologize because I'm realizing now that on my graphic, the numbers are not correct at the bottom. So please ignore these numbers. I will get you the updated numbers at the end of this. But these are the ones that have come off the board this week. I said Royce Lewis plays 100-plus games and will hit 30-plus home runs. Half of that was correct. He did play over 100 games. I said Alex Kirilloff will throw out the first pitch at a regular or postseason game at Target Field this year. He retired this past offseason, so I thought they were going to bring him back somehow. I said the Twins will hit 200-plus home runs in 2025. They had 183 in 2024. That was incorrect. They were at 191 was their final count. Said Bailey Ober leads the Twins in innings pitched in 2025. That was incorrect. It was Joe Ryan. Bailey Ober was in second. Yeah, close, but still incorrect. Griffin Jacks will have a sub-3 ERA in the regular season in 2025. He did not. Again, I did not specifically say with the Twins, and even if it was specifically with the Twins, that is still incorrect. I said Royce Lewis will lead the Twins in home runs. He did not. Again, we'll get to who did lead the Twins in home runs later on down this line. I said Bailey Ober will pitch a complete game, giving up 2 runs or less. He did pitch 1 complete game this year, but he gave up 4 runs, and I think that was before I made this prediction too. I said Rocco will be fired by the end of this year. He was fired, but it was not by the end of the year. So that is a very, very bad beat because it happened the day after the season. So almost got that one correct, but it will go in as an incorrect prediction. Said Pablo has a 7+ inning game with 3 or less hits and 1 or less runs scored. That was incorrect. Royce finishes with a 250 plus batting average. It was like 235, I think, was his final batting average. And then Luke Keeschall finishes the season with a batting average over 325. That was incorrect too. I think it was 302 was his final batting average. But we'll turn to the correct. Said Twins lose 7 or more of the final 11 games. They lost exactly 7 of the final games. A couple weeks ago, I said Rocco will be fired by the All-Star game in 2026, and he was. So Max Kepler will strike out in his first at-bat against the Twins, or he won't play. He did play, and he did strike out, so that was correct. Pablo Lopez makes at least 1 more start in the regular season in 2025. This should have come off the board a couple weeks ago, but he did make at least 1 more. He made a couple of starts after his injury. So the Twins lose 90 or more games in 2025. They lost 92, so that is correct. And then this is the actual leader in home runs. I said Byron Buxton hits 35+ home runs in 2025, and he hit exactly 35. So the actual numbers here, I'm not going to, again, ignore the numbers at the bottom. Target Field Talker is 29 correct, 94 total predictions for 31%. So, yeah, those are my predictions off the board here. We will move on to the predictions coming on the board. First one is that the Twins do not re-sign a player or sign or re-sign a player above $30 million AAV this offseason. And then Joe Ryan and or Pablo Lopez will not be on the Twins 2026 opening day 26-man roster. And this could be injury related too. And then final prediction is that Royce Lewis will be on the Twins 2026 opening day roster. So one of those 2 pitchers will not be, but Royce Lewis will be. All right, yes, moving on now to Rinkside Rundown. Again, just going to cover the Frost really quickly here as they have no new news. We will get into one Frost player, but it will not be in this segment, ironically. So that will be coming up in a different segment, and that will be more appropriate in that segment too. So for the Wild, a couple of things to go over here. There is one piece of news, and then there is some speculation that I want to touch on, and there is also like I said, the 2025-26 301 show Minnesota Wild season award predictions. We will get into, and at the end of the season, I will put out a Google survey poll and have you guys vote on who you think deserve to win each award, and we will see if any of my predictions came true. So we will start with the news. Big news is that the throwback jerseys are back. The 25th year anniversary jerseys. We're going back to the original home jerseys, which are like the white ones with the green that run all the way down from the shoulders down the sleeves. They look absolutely beautiful. So they're going to be splitting between 3 different jerseys at home, it sounds like, this year, with the alternates, the home jerseys, and then these throwback jerseys. So yeah, that's the big news. I do think it was the right idea for those to be the throwback jerseys. I do think those were the best jerseys in Minnesota Wild history. I heard some people talking about the red jerseys, and I think the red jerseys are pretty good, but I think these are a far superior jersey. So I think these were absolutely the right decision to make. Then we'll move on to the speculation here. So there's been, from me specifically too, and the Minnesota Wild fan base as a whole, has talked a lot about the Kirill Kaprizov extension, which rightfully so. He's the best player on the team. But there is another guy that's up for an extension right now that has not been talked about, and that would be Filip Gustavsson. He is in the final year of a 3-year deal. He signed with the Wild after his first year in Minnesota. He has a cap hit this year of $3.75 million. And I think this is going to go into the season. It sounded, from what I have heard, it sounds like Filip Gustavsson is willing to play ball throughout the season and willing to engage in contract talks throughout the season. But I think that another wrench that gets thrown into this is Jesper Wallstedt. I think Wallstedt does get a lot of playing time this year, and I do think he will. I think that he will. Just make it harder for the two sides in Filip Gustavsson and the Minnesota Wild to come to a contract extension, because they maybe view Wallstedt as the guy, the goaltender of the future, and you're not going to sign someone who's 5 years older that to this extension if Wallstedt's just as good. So I would now if I was Bill Guerin, if I was in Bill Guerin's shoes right now, I would sign Filip Gustavsson to a deal. I would not lock him up for like the 8 years that Kirill Kaprizov is being talked about for. I wouldn't do that, but I'd sign him to another 2 to 3 year extension. If you can get him in that 3.75 where he is now up to like $5 million range per year, I think that would be fantastic. I think that would be a great spot for Filip Gustavsson, and you just lock down, because we've seen too, like, look at the Oilers. Like, the Oilers have 2 superstar players. They've got Zach Hyman too, who's a star. They've got a solid defensive core. They don't have like the stud like a Quinn Hughes or a Cale Makar, but they have no goaltending. Stuart Skinner is one of, if not the most inconsistent goaltenders in the league. So you need a goaltender, if not 2 goaltenders, that can split time, that are going to hold down the fort and net. And so I do think you are able to find goaltenders a lot more easily now. But you still need to find a consistent goaltender for you to actually compete for a Stanley Cup. And if you look at it the last 2 years too, like that's why the Oilers came up short, I think, both of those years, is because of their goaltending. Like, they had everything else. It's just the goaltending being super inconsistent against the Florida Panthers is like, that's why they lost. That's why they lost in less games this year than they did last year. So I think signing Gustafsson, just having that knowledge that you're going to have a solid goalie for the next 2 years, and just for Wallstedt, isn't proven. So if you sign Gustafsson to 2 years and Wallstedt ends up not working out, just re-sign Gustafsson again. Like it's a very good position to be in right now if you have two goaltenders that could, one that you know will work, and another one that you think will work. But I think signing him to a 2-year, $4.5 million a year deal is the perfect spot for him. So we'll move on to the season award predictions here. So I took all of the awards for the that the NHL gives out in the trophy names, and I made it basically so that the only Wild players could receive the award. So, yeah, we will go through each of those here. So we will start with the Bill Masterton Award, which is the perseverance to the game of hockey. I think Jonas Brodin will win this one. He is injured right now, so if he comes back and plays well, I think he will get that one. The Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, which I do have a prediction about this one. I think the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy is the sportsmanship trophy. That will go to Matt Zuccarello. I think Matt Zuccarello is going to win the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy. William M. Jennings Trophy, which is the fewest goals against with a minimum of 25 games played. I think that one goes to Jesper Wallstedt, and I think that is partially because I think he hits that 25 game mark, but I still think Philip Gustafsson plays significantly more games than him. So just by that, it's not goals against average, it's just the fewest goals against. So I think just by the law of large numbers with Gustafsson, I think Wallstedt is going to have fewer goals than Gustafsson. For the Frank J. Selke Trophy, which is the best defensive forward, and I realize I made a mistake here on my sheet. Best defensive forward. We had this guy won it last year. I don't see it being any different, but Frank J. Selke Trophy I have as Joel Eriksson Ek. I think he's been the best defensive forward for the Wild for the last 5 or 6 years at this point. Basically since Mikko Koivu started to regress in his play. I think the James Norris Memorial Trophy, which is the top defenseman award, I think that goes to Brock Faber. Again, I think he takes another step forward. And then we get into the Calder Memorial Trophy for Rookie of the Year. I think that's another defenseman. I think that is Zeev Buium. Very well could see that being, I could see that being like a Liam Ogren, who was up for it last year, but is still considered a rookie this year because he didn't play enough games. But I think Zeev Buium is the choice here. Again, another sneaky one. I think David Jiricek could very well be Rookie of the Year this year if he plays a bunch of games with either Bogosian or Spurgeon or someone like that. Brodin when he comes back. But official prediction for Rookie of the Year is Zeev Buium. So we've got the three big ones now, in my opinion, partially because I was a goalie growing up, so I've got a soft spot for goalies. So the Vezina Trophy we'll get into next year, being the top goalie award. I do think Philip Gustafsson still wins this one, even though Jesper Wallstedt is winning the fewest goals against award. I think Philip Gustafsson will be the best goalie on the Minnesota Wild this year. So the big two, the Conn Smythe Trophy and the Hart Memorial Trophy, MVPs around here. We'll do the Conn Smythe for playoff MVP. Last year, my official prediction, it was none because I thought they were going to miss the playoffs. But we will make an official prediction here of I think the playoff MVP this year is going to be Philip Gustafsson. I think if the Wild want to have success, he is going to need to step up because they have, have success in the playoffs. They do have the scoring, but I think Philip Gustafsson is a massive part of this team if they want to have playoff success. I mean, again, like I said, look at the Edmonton Oilers the last couple of years with their goaltending situation. And then the Hart Memorial Trophy, which is the regular season MVP award, I have going to Jared Spurt. I'm just kidding. It's going to Kirill Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov is my Hart Memorial Trophy pick. I think he could win it in the NHL if he stays healthy. So why wouldn't he win it for the Wild? From these season award predictions to actual predictions here, we've got a couple coming off the board. We have 2 coming off the board. This is the least amount of predictions we have coming off the board for any of these segments here today. Both of them were incorrect. I said the Wild win all 3 home preseason games. They have lost 2 of them. So the Wild will beat the Stars twice, and they've already lost to the Stars once, and they only play them twice in the preseason. So that one cannot come true. That puts my total at 17 correct. That remains the same out of now 61 total predicted for 28%. We got 3 coming on the board here. And we've got one about the guys that need extensions, and then 2 will back up my season award predictions too. So we've got 3 coming on the board here. First one, extension guys, said Kirill Kaprizov and Philip Gustafsson are both in the starting lineup for the Wild in the 2026-27 season opener. So not the one that is coming up here in this October, but next year. Both of those guys will be in the starting lineup. So basically they will both have signed extensions too. And then second one, again, this one is my one backing up my Lady Byng Sportsmanship Trophy Award. Prediction being Matt Zuccarello. I think he will have the lowest penalty minutes per game, the lowest average. So if you look at how many he's getting however many penalty minutes Matt Zuccarello gets, if you divide that per game, he will have the lowest of any Wild player this season. And that I also have the caveat of a minimum of 41 games played. So that means Zuccarello has to hit 41 games played, which I think he will. But I'm not going to include the guy that, someone that plays 1 game, doesn't get a penalty, and has 0 penalty like that doesn't count to me. You got to play at least half the season for this to be correct. Then Zeev Buium will also be a Calder Trophy nominee this year. I think that will cement him as the winner of my prediction there for the team Rookie of the Year, if he is a league nominee for Rookie of the Year. So those are my predictions here for this episode. All right, coming back in here for the Rinkside Rundown. Literally right as I pressed stop recording on the announcing what my predictions were, got the news that the Wild have agreed to terms with Kirill Kaprizov. So Kirill Kaprizov is staying with Minnesota. He signed an 8-year deal worth $136 million. That is $17 million on the average annual value. It will begin on the next season, the 26-27 season, and will go through the 2033-2034 season. So again, I don't really have anything like 100% plan to say for this because I needed to, didn't want to wait till next week to talk about this. But again, I think I was saying this entire time, I thought it was a term issue. I thought this was going to be a term issue. It turns out they needed, $8 million more for this from that Frank Saravelli report. That was, again, I thought it was going to be like a 4 or 5 year contract, but again, it is great that they locked him up long term, and they're not resetting the market every 4 years with this, but we will see. The biggest thing for me with Kirill is, can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy for an entire season? Because he did the first couple of years, and then he got basically forced into the splits by Logan Stanley. I believe that was in his third year in the league, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy since. But again, from a business side of this, I love it because you're going to sell jerseys and you're going to sell tickets, and you're going to, when people are in the stadium, we're going to sell concessions and beer and alcohol and all of those things in the stadium. So makes a lot of sense from a business standpoint for Craig Leopold standpoint, basically. But again, Kirill Kaprizov is by far and away the best player on this team. So this is maybe like it's I'm still trying to process this dollar value, I guess, because it is the biggest number we have seen in an NHL history. I think Leon Draisaitl signed last year the biggest contract, and that was like 14.5 million per year. So this is like $2.5 to $3 million per year more than Leon Draisaitl, who is the highest paid player. So that it's just insane to me that is what this contract ended up being. But again, I am excited for this. I'm excited that that the Wild got this contract done, and fans, we get to see Kirill here for another 8 years. But I think that he is again, like I've been saying this entire time, he is the heart and soul of this team. He might be the heart and soul of this franchise since they became a team in the year 2000. And he, I'm just reading this write up here about him on the on NHL.com, the Wild page on NHL.com. He is 28 years old. So again, he will be 37 when this contract is done, because he has one more year left on this one. The contract will be done in 9 seasons. So he'll be he will be 37 when when his contract is up. He has through 5 seasons, he's got 386 points. He's got 185 goals, 201 assists. He's averaging, 20 minutes and 24 seconds on ice. He's got those 386 points in 319 games. So he's well above a point a game player. And then the basically the only thing that he hasn't done, and this is more an indictment on the franchise than him, is have playoff success. And I do think with the salary cap going up too, I think this will look like a pretty good deal in a couple years, because they've basically said that the salary cap is being raised like $7 or $8 million per year over the next couple years. So the percentage of the salary cap that this contract takes up is a lot lower as the years go on, and that's the big issue. That's the big thing is can you get a deal that from a team standpoint, at least that's the big thing, is can you get a deal that gets you, maybe not now, but in the future will get you a bunch of salary cap percentage space, while still being good for the actual player. So this, again, in a few years will be a pretty good deal, and might be a very good deal by 4 or 5 years into this, and if he's still producing at this level. So again, I do like this deal. I'm glad they got it done, and we will see what this all looks like here this season. So just had to hop back in here and give a little bit of a rundown for the Kaprizov extension. All right, moving on to the final segment of today's show, the power ranking segment. For those of you that don't know, the power ranking segment is a top 10 list of a Minnesota topic that I will rank. So we go through, we pick a Minnesota sports themed topic, and we rank them 1 to 10. In this case, this scenario, or this list might need a little bit of background explanation. If you don't know me personally, I also do high school hockey and high school sports play-by-play and production. But I will go broadcast from different rinks and different stadiums. So this is the list this time is my top 10 favorite stadiums or arenas that I have broadcasted from. So it is my 10 favorite that I have broadcasted from up to this point. So part of it too is the qualifications are how nice the facilities are, and also the how well the staff treats us. Now, I do want to say that I haven't had any bad experiences with these, but these are just the 10 best. So the 10 best here. So we'll start with number 10 here. Number 10 is the Monticello football field. Ran camera there from the top of the press box. Again, part of it too is that the fact that they have one of the most small town Midwest views in like one of the like quintessential small town Midwest views in the entire Midwest, I guess. But their football field is right next to a Mills Fleet Farm and a giant American flag. So there's high school football, a giant American flag, and a Mills Fleet Farm, all in the shot that I was working the camera for. So Monticello football field comes in at number 10. They're also very accommodating there. Were able to get us in and out and helped us out a lot. So number 9 here is the Victoria Rec Center, called a Holy Family game here. Very cool setup. Was standing up above the scorer's table, and was basically directly overlooking the rink. Like if I look straight down, the rink was right there. So that comes in at number 9. At number 8 is the Plymouth Ice Center Rink A. They do have 3 sheets of ice at the Plymouth Ice Center. I have broadcasted from all 3 rinks there. But Plymouth Ice Center Rink A comes in here at number 8 for me. Little bit just of a weird setup with outlets, and trying to charge everything, but they did make that fix. So that brings it up to number 8. At number 7, we go to the Providence Academy football field. The Providence Academy football field, I absolutely love it. Called soccer games there and football games. It is a bit tight for football games, which is why I couldn't put it any higher. But again, the Hogwarts style building in the background. Makes a very cool backdrop, especially with the moon is rising right above it. So it's a very cool view from there. But soccer games, love broadcasting soccer games from there because I get some more space. Number 6 here, we move on to another football field. And that one, we're going back up north. It is the Becker football field. Again, we were up on top of the press box, but the reason it is higher than Monticello is there was just a little bit more space. So that brings Becker into the 6th spot. Those are the 6 to 10. I'll get the top 5 pulled up here. But 6 to 10, again, is Becker football field, PA football field, Plymouth Ice Center, Rink A, the Victoria Rec Center, and the Monticello football field. Moving on to number 5 here, right ahead of the Becker football field is Blakesley Stadium. That is where Mankato State plays. I broadcasted the Mankato East versus Mankato West game from there. Again, probably the coolest stadium that I broadcasted from. But again, just a little cramped from where we were in the press box. Number 4 here. And again, I will tell you why this is down at number 4. Some people might think it should be up at number 1, but I will tell you why it is down at number 4 is Braemar West, the Edina Hornets rink. Again, they have almost the perfect setup except for one thing. Where the media sets up is in the corner, so it's not the best view of the game. You really got to strain your eyes to see all the way down to the other end of the rink when you're calling a game from Braemar West. Other than that, it might be the perfect setup because they have a designated media section that is very, very nice. But speaking of a designated media section, coming in at number 3 is the Buffalo Civic Center. Again, they have a designated media section, and the staff there make sure that the team managers who also sit in that section, that media section, save a spot so nobody else can sit there. So we always have a spot. We've got chargers or outlets for our chargers right there, and yeah, it is fantastic, and it is right at center ice too. So you are watching the game from center ice. Number 2 here, and again, this one is carried a lot by the staff because there is not like a designated media section, but the staff here might be my favorite staff that of any of these stadiums that I've broadcasted from. It is the Breck School Anderson Arena, the Breck's ice rink. Again, they're always checking in, called a couple of tournament or showcase games from there where I was basically there all day, and they kept coming back in between games to check in, make sure I was doing well, and so that brings them to number 2. And number 1, it's the ice rink I have broadcasted the most games from. It is the Plymouth Ice Center Rink C. It is the one I am familiar with the most, so that is why it is my favorite. All right, that'll do it for us here at the 301 show. Again, please like and subscribe. The likes and the subscriptions do help me out a lot. The likes tell YouTube that this is a good video and should put it out to more people. Again, comment down below where you agree, disagree with me. If you have any feedback, I will. We can read that on air too if you want me to read it on air. If you have any other questions, concerns, comments, again, please do let me know. You can email the show too. Down below is I'll link the email. It is frozennorth30@gmail.com. If you have any power rankings topics, ideas that you want me to do, again, comment them, send them to the show somehow, and we will do those topics too. So we will see you next time. Peace.